This is a game changer for dealerships and for the consumer because the consumer now is getting transparency from the dealership and dealers are seeing an uptick in work because the work is being approved, but dealers are seeing a big gain in fixed operations in labor and parts.
It's everyone's dream to grow, to be a bigger dealer, to be a better dealer, or even get your first dealership.
Car buying is about the people.
Everybody wants to know what's the car business like, and they like to see under the hood.
Welcome to the Walk Around Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mark Spoto, joined by my co-host, Heather Wilkinson. Hello, Heather.
Hello, Mark.
I am thrilled to be with you.
This is fantastic, and it is great for us to be back together again.
Always.
Interviewing some fantastic industry experts and dealers.
You know what I'm also thrilled about? Our guest today, Ted Ings. If you don't know Ted, you're probably living under a rock.
I mean,
he showed up to us with his own crew.
Yes, he did.
Reporters and videographers. So there are people out there that may not know him. So we want to bring you his insights. He is founder and president of Fixed Operations Roundtable. And, you know, the fixed operations department, the service drive, it is such a huge opportunity for dealers into 2026 and beyond. When you think about all of the challenges, all the margin compression on the front end of the transaction, what better opportunity is there to drive profitability, to retain customers, to drive loyalty than focusing more on your fixed operations? Would you agree with that, Heather?
I agree. It is the heartbeat of the dealership operations, service and parts, especially when you look at the affordability opportunities. Consumers are keeping vehicles longer. Love the message that Ted gave today to our listeners. Should we take a walk?
We should. And when you think about how many touch points a service drive has with your customers compared to anywhere else in the store, it seems kind of obvious, but often neglected.
It's most certainly
And Ted gets into that. So enough from us. Let's hear from Ted. We are thrilled to have Ted Ings with us on the Walk Around Podcast. Welcome, Ted. Thanks so much for spending time.
Guys, thank you. I'm honored that you would have me in, so I appreciate it very much.
It is a pleasure to have a fixed ops expert here to share with our listeners all things they should be thinking about to drive performance in their service and parts departments, which are so critically important today for dealers as we're dealing with affordability, expense control, and inflation, and the economic uncertainty. Would you agree?
Yes, and the age of vehicles out there now approaching 13 years, right? I think it's gone up 0.2 from last year. I think it's 12.8 years, the average vehicle out there. So people are investing in their vehicles, and dealers need to invest in their fixed operations at the same time.
They most certainly do, Ted. So let's just kick it off with, what would you say is the biggest fixed ops innovation that is making dealers more efficient?
I would say, Heather, that 3 or 4 years ago, Fixed Ops Roundtable, we were probably more concerned with things like tools and chemicals and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Today, it's technology. And in particular on the technology are these front-facing videos that the technicians are performing now in the shop that are going out to the customers, giving them an update on the status of their vehicle, the MPI, the multi-point inspection video from the technician, giving them an update. Mm-hmm. And historically, the tech in our industry has been behind the door, behind the garage door. You never saw the tech. You
never knew who he was or anything about him.
You talked to the service advisor, and that was kind of like the go-between, right, Mark? So you had to wait for that update. But now the tech is front-facing and telling the customer in a video that we're using our phones to watch. And by the way, the customers dig it. They like it because they're hearing from the doctor working on the vehicle, hearing what's going on with their vehicle. They could see it's their car up on the lift. The customer, we never get to see our car up on the lift, right? And here, that's our car. That's our license plate. And here the technician is telling us what they saw, okay? Whether it's maintenance or whether it's for bigger repairs. And the technicians now in a professional manner are addressing the customer. And this is a game changer for dealerships and for the consumer because the consumer now is getting transparency from the dealership. They're helping build trust with the doctor who's working on their car, and they can give an approval a lot quicker or ask questions for clarification a lot faster. And dealers are seeing an uptick in work because the work is being approved and performed now, where historically now, up until now, you didn't get those approvals, and at least not that fast if you did at all. But dealers are seeing a big, big gain in fixed operations in labor and parts.
It has to be impacting the credibility from a customer's perspective of the recommendations, seeing the technician working on their vehicle. So they're more inclined to click yes when they get that text message.
It sounds like it removes some of the mystery
Mm-hmm.
from
Yes.
this whole process, right? Where sometimes customers feeling they're left out or they're uncertain of what's happening. This kind of breaks down that barrier.
Yes, and to address what both of you just said, we're also seeing that not only is the customer watching these videos, the customers are sharing the videos. They're sharing it with friends and family. And by the way, the dealers are watching this and they're measuring who's opening the videos, how many minutes they're watched, but they're also seeing many other statistics. Among them, how many times was it shared? And it's amazing now that these tech videos are being shared by the consumer and their friends and saying, look what just happened at my dealership. And now they're almost on a first name basis with the technicians as well. So that's huge.
Ted, is this a big change for a dealership to implement? Is it a relatively easy process to start using a technology like this, or is this a big degree of change management?
Well, it's a radical change, and it is much easier now because of the companies that have come in. There are a lot of companies, including some of the big DMS companies, who are all now very much involved because the dealers are seeing high ROI. And everybody wants to get in on it and improve. And now we're working on improving things like the sound, okay, and removing background noise, okay, so that the technician now has a much better quality video, and things like video quality are being scored by the dealers now. So that's all new. So it's relatively easy. However, anything that involves change is going to involve resistance, right, Heather? You know that.
Yes.
Okay.
Very much.
And anytime we introduce something new, whether it's a menu or whether it's a new process, instinctively, and especially technicians are going to push back on that. But once they see their fellow techs are getting approvals and getting the work performed, and not only that, it's saving time in terms of efficiencies, because before you had to have the technician maybe pull the car out of the stall, pull it back into the lot, wait for the tech to hear from the advisor or from the customer. Now they're pulling it back. They don't have to leave the bay now. The car's still there, and we have an approval within minutes to get started.
That sounds like an awesome opportunity for stores. We want to pivot a little bit, Ted, and we hear a lot about the connection between the service department and the sales department.
Yes.
Trying to build more customer retention, trying to increase customer lifetime value. What are some things you're seeing that are working to help collaboration between service and sales?
Service drive acquisition, which means sourcing vehicles on the service drive. Reconditioning is bigger than ever for dealers on the sales and on the fixed ops side. There's a shortage of good used cars. It seems there always is, Heather.
Yes.
Mark, the best place to find them may not be at the auction, okay? It's on your own service drive.
Right.
So dealerships who have put together a process where they're now offering the customer in a very, not a very pushy way, but, while the vehicle's in the shop today, can we give you an estimate of what that vehicle may be worth? Okay,
Courtesy appraisal.
because we're paying top dollar today, and if the dealership has a process to do that, it makes it a lot easier for the consumer to say yes. Now, of course, not every customer says yes, but a very high percentage of customers will. And the dealership already has the service records. The car can be put up on the lift, where at the auction they can't take a look at that. And very often the dealership sold that car. So that is bringing sales and service together, and parts, because parts doesn't get a lot of love, okay?
Yeah.
And parts is a huge part of the dealer profit equation. You can't sell service without parts. You got to have those parts on hand. So reconditioning and looking at vehicles and doing this acquisition process, I think, is a great example of sales and service coming together. Are there areas that we can improve on the sales side and on the service side? Absolutely. I'll give you a great example, one that historically we've been very poor at as an industry, and that's the sales to service handoff. Once a customer buys a vehicle, every dealership has a process how the customer will be introduced to the service department. Do they do it? Probably not too often. And certainly even the ones who do don't do it well enough. I bought a vehicle recently, and the salesperson never showed me, when you come in for service, where do you go? Do you pull into the shop? Do you park out on the lot? What is the process? The customer needs to know that, because that's all part of building the relationships, again, the trust and the transparency as well.
Absolutely. And I would bet with that communication, that partnership, we will see continuous increase in profitability in our fixed operations, which is a great way to head us into our segment of best bets.
You mentioned bets.
That's
I'm glad
right.
you did that, Heather, because we got some hot takes we want to throw at you, Ted.
Go ahead.
Based on your experience, based on what you're seeing.
Okay.
We're going to ask you, are you going to bet this or are you going to forget it? So bet it or forget it.
All right, I'll try.
Are you
All
a
right.
gambler?
I'll try. It depends on the question.
All right.
All right. So as a dealer, a top service advisor has more long-term influence on customer loyalty than your top salesperson. Bet it or forget it.
Oh, bet it 1,000%. Are you kidding?
1,000%.
Look,
Tell me
well,
why quickly.
Yeah.
Because how many customers does a salesperson talk to a day?
What do they average 8 to 10 cars a month sold?
So they talk to what? 2, 3, maybe? Okay. On average.
Yeah.
Right.
Service advisors talking to how many?
Typically, average service departments writing 20 to 25 ROs a day.
There's your answer.
There's
So
your
there's your
answer.
answer. You're exposed to more people. And by the way, when the customer has a question on repairs, do they want to ask the salesperson or are they going to go back to the service
They're going to
advisor?
go back to the service.
So bet on the service advisor.
All right. Number 2, AI tools will diagnose vehicles before a technician even opens the hood. Bet it or forget it.
Yet to be seen. Yet to be seen.
Okay, so you're kind of
maybe
lukewarm.
it might happen. Again, AI is a very good bet as long as it doesn't disrupt what the dealership is already doing well. And I think that's what dealerships are very much rightfully fearful. Okay, I don't want to disrupt something that's already working unless it's proven that this is actually going to happen. All right. So in some areas, AI is working extremely well. I'll give you an example on warranty. Okay, for warranty filings, things like that. It's getting better on phone calls and incoming calls and so on. You know, you're seeing some manufacturers now using AI as well in that helping techs with the diagnosis process, but yet to be determined. I'm on the fence.
And I think I've heard on Fixed Ops Roundtable, Ted, that AI is enabling processes for service advisors to spend more time in front of the customer and less time doing things that take up their time and they're not engaging with that customer. Am I correct?
Heather, I'm glad you're listening.
I listen to the show.
I love it.
All right, last one.
All right.
The technician shortage will be the single biggest threat to dealership profitability in the next 2 years. Bet it or forget it.
Forget it.
Forget it.
There's no technician shortage.
Really?
No, there's no
Look at-
shortage of
You're
technicians.
zagging against what we're hearing from a lot of people in the industry.
There's no shortage of technicians. There's a shortage of technician development programs. That's where the shortage is. Dealerships who grow their own technicians are doing extremely well, and they have a waiting list of techs to come to their stores because the techs know from their peers who are the dealerships to work to or not. Culture is a big factor, determining factor if a technician is going to work for a dealership. Think about it. For years, historically, we have disregarded the technician. You know, it's dirty. They're uneducated. They're back there. And now they're now respected, right? They're now some of the most highly educated and skilled people in the dealership. So the issue is not having technicians, it's having a technician development program to develop your techs and not having to go out and recruit them or try to recruit them from other dealerships, which is the failing strategy.
That's
I
right.
love
Well,
that.
we heard it here first, Mark.
We sure did.
So-
If you're not listening to Ted,
If you're not
You're
listening
doing
to
something wrong.
Ted Eng's Fixed Ops Roundtable, development of your technicians,
I love
culture.
you guys. You guys are great.
This is fantastic.
thank you so much, Ted.
Thank you, Ted.
Great to see you. We really appreciate you joining us today on The Walk Around, and we hope you enjoyed the episode. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow us. We look forward to seeing you next time on The Walk Around.